Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now in EVE Online, honestly, there hasn't been that much development news or new plan news, but CCP had already said that that was going to happen with the launch of the Citadel expansion. They were actually planning to take some development time and put that aside just for fixes, bug fixes, possible imbalances that come out as the expansion is being played. So I think that's the main reason why we're not really seeing a lot of extra stuff or extra news at the moment. One thing that I did just notice is that there will be an 07 show tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, but next week, and I'll definitely try to watch that. What's really interesting there, we've also seen him at FanFest. I think he's called CCP Ghost. So they've hired someone to take a really new approach or a very close look at the new player experience. And honestly, I do think that CCP is going to try very hard to make that a better experience, to bring more people into EVE Online, which, well, for the general health of the game, I think is pretty damn good. So maybe we should keep that in mind as well as we start off with plex here at 125. Because yeah, plex are still going down. Sellers are now down to 909 million. The buyers are down to 868 million, or almost 69. So that's like a 40 million gap here. That's not bad. How long has it been since we were able to buy plexes for less than 900 million and be pretty sure that we would get it? That's been a very long time ago. Of course, for people like myself that are holding plex, they're watching their asset numbers decline and decline, and it can be a little bit discouraging. But yeah, keep that in perspective. I think this is still a game, and for the general health of the game, I think that this is really good, because 900 million ISK is something that's actually doable, even for newer players that actually will at some point, I think, make it their goal to see if they can earn a plex within a month and thus keep their subscription alive on gaming. It tends to be the wrong thing to do, and it is not something that I've ever really pushed for myself, but I do still know that there were certain months when I said, okay, I've actually earned enough for a plex, and so that's good. That means that I'm actually probably playing a bit more than average. I'm actually enjoying the game quite a lot, and I'm finding my way to actually make good money compared to a plex. And a plex should be like around the average earnings in the game at the time that you're playing. So once you beat that, you do feel like you've gone above a certain curve, and so seeing that go down to 900 million, I think, makes just the game, the pay for your own subscription with in-game money aspect of the game, that honestly comes up anytime EVE is mentioned by or to people that have never played the game. It makes that a lot more accessible than 1.2 billion or 1.5 billion, which it looked like we were heading there for a little while. So let's take a look at the chart here. We can see that this is more than a 30% decline from the very peak at 1.25 billion. So this is a pretty sharp decline. Personal plans here, honestly, I'm not buying, gonna sell in a panic here, just because I've lost almost 300 million on every plex. Yeah, it was a bad trade, a very bad idea to invest on that upswing here. But of course, I'm not perfect, and what I'm planning to do here now personally is I'm making pretty damn good money with the Citadel expansion, Citadel related items, and especially Citadel related blueprint copies. And so if I'm ready with my Citadel, if I feel like, all right, I've got it where I want it, I don't need to make any more investments in that, I'm probably planning to buy a couple of plex with the money that I'm earning, just to lower my average purchase price and thus make it a bit more feasible for me to actually make a profit on plexes the next time that they go up, and I plan to sell them. Now, I don't plan to sell like all of them, and I also plan to diversify a little bit, but this is actually a great opportunity to lower the average value, the average loss that you have on plexes. I think if you now and then manage to purchase one for like 900 million, for people that are in wormhole space, people that have been playing for years and years, and just a few weeks of some hardcore exploration will probably earn you a few plexes. You know, guys like us that actually have invested dozens of plex in here and now are watching that value decline actually are the ones that probably also have the means to earn those plexes right now and go snag them up at what I would consider to be a pretty reasonable price of just 900 million ISK. How low will this go? That's very hard to say. I know that there has only been one viewer brave enough to post his expectation for plex a few months ago when we were first starting to decline, I think, and he said the bottom that he was seeing was 600 million. I thought he was crazy at the time, I have to be honest, but so far he's actually been right on the money with his plex expectation. He said that plex are going to go way down with the skill extractors and the Citadel expansion, and he said his expected bottom was actually 600 million. That would be quite extreme. But yeah, seeing it go down to 900 million, it's not impossible anymore that will go down to maybe 800 or 850 million or something like that. If you look at the previous bottom where we come from, 850 million, we're approaching that point. And so just 1 year ago, yeah, this entire thing will have then been one gigantic bubble. But I think at some point it is going to start to go back up. Personally, I also see the gap now between 900 million at the moment and 1.2 billion that we've reached before as a very likely profit that you can make on plexes if you can buy them at the current price point. You can also see how violent the decrease in prices here with big volume spikes happening as well. So Citadel expansion, skill injectors, and so I'm seeing this honestly as an opportunity, a lesson learned. I have bought plex at the wrong time, but yeah, this is an opportunity now, I think, to actually make some money on this decrease in price. So here we go. Let's go back to the 6-month chart. Take a look at the multiple pallet trading certificate. Pretty similar, but yeah, it went down sharply as well on this volume increase here, and then actually now managed to stay above 900 million on the chart. They're currently selling for 950 million and the buyers are at 890 million. This could be an indication, because it's actually higher than plex, that we are going to start reaching the bottom close to 900 million. I think it's a possibility, but the widened margin because of the new taxes, of course, is also still going to play some games with all of this. The body resculpt next went down as well all of a sudden, yeah, after going up in price at March, managing to maintain a pretty high price point throughout the entire decline of the plex prices. At some point, of course, they had to follow suit a little bit. That pressure was not doable anymore, and so now they went down to 230 million ISK. But just like the multiple training certificate, they said this is low enough and actually are bouncing off of that already. The skill extractors, Nick, that could be pretty damn interesting. As the value of plex goes down, so should the ISK value of Aurum. And as a result, skill extractors are also going down in price substantially. Current sellers are at 210 million and the buyers are at 200 million. That gap is closing here though. So again, a telltale sign that 900 million may just be a bottom for plexes. Skill injectors next, of course, also now dropping in price quite substantially. If you can buy 30-day game time, if you can buy a plex for just 900 million, you're not going to pay, let's see what the top was here, 650 million, more than 2/3 of the price for a skill injector. So those have to go down, and now they've gone down to 595 million for the sellers, 562 million for the buyers. Yeah, this is a hot commodity, but apparently the availability is more than enough. After 13 years of skill training, a lot of people have useless skills that they're willing to sell to other players, and thus we see the incredible availability of both skill injectors. So here in 24 hours we've got probably around 2 full pages and just hundreds and hundreds of skill injectors that are being brought to the market. And for the skill extractors, just as bad. Look at that, all of this less than 24 hours ago, and here 603. So we're probably talking close to 1,000 skill extractors brought to the market in the last 24 hours, and after that you just go for another day, you've got another a full page including 2,744 skill extractors in a single sell order. That's just crazy. These are just two available. People are basically running away from plexes, from skill injectors, skill extractors, and honestly, for the savvy investor that doesn't panic, this could be a great opportunity to diversify their assets. A lot of people, I think, are just hoarding ISK at the moment, watching all these plexes, all these prices go down, and that is probably exactly the wrong thing to do. A lot of this is psychology, right? I made the mistake in plexes when I saw them go back up. Plex right here, when I saw them go back up early last year, and then with the expectation that skill extractors would have the exact opposite effect than what they had, I purchased here on well, a very high point historically, which was a mistake. But trying to sell off at this point for plexes is probably a big mistake as well, and I don't think you want to do both, because then of course you're really going to start taking some real losses. Okay, that's it for the plex related stuff. Everything is going down, cash is king, but that also means that the people that are now able to purchase at the right time are going to make incredible investments, because there's an easy 30% discrepancy already right here that at some point is bound to be made up again. So moving on to some minerals, 1120. Well, let's take a look at those. We'll start with the cheapest one as always. Here is titanium going back down towards 6.2 ISK. It is a complete reversal from last week where we went up to 6.4, but it is still well in line to keep titanium at around the 6.2 price mark, which honestly is not that bad. Of course, 7 ISK, we've seen that before, but that's an extremely high price and makes mining in high-sec extremely valuable. But 6.2 is not a bad price. We've seen titanium head towards 5 and below 5 before as well. So 621 for the sellers, 612 for the buyers. We can see that the sell orders are still coming in on the around, let's say 100 million ISK is a normal sell order. The buy orders though, look at that, 1.3 billion, 2 billion units, and again several more buy orders of 2 billion units. So this will obviously is going to stop the decline in price here, and I think we're in for a bit of a ride, let's say between 6.2 and 6.4 ISK here at the moment for titanium. That seems to be in the cards here. There is still a very strong demand for minerals at the moment. Next up here we've got pyrite, a similar situation, right? We went to a 6-month low of 10.5 ISK, went back up to 11, but had to correct, give back a little bit of ground down to 10.7 on the chart. The real question, of course, is going to be, is supply demand, which of the two forces are winning? So here are the sellers coming in with 400 million units, 600, almost 700 million units in the last 24 hours, half a front page. Not that bad. And for the buyers, we get 1 billion units, 800 million units, 190, but fewer orders as well. So this is still up in the air. I would say this actually looks decently balanced, and so seeing this, I would say pyrite probably going to hover around the 10.5 ISK, maybe a little bit higher than that, but I don't think we'll see pyrite break out anytime soon or anything like that. Next up here we got the Mexalon chart. That is completely different though, big volumes, but a sustained increase in price to 72 ISK. That's not bad. 75.5 for the sellers. That's a pretty damn high price for Mexalon historically speaking. The buyers are at 69.35, and that is still a very, very high buy order price for Mexalon. So yeah, you know what to mine with this, right? Anything that yields you a good amount of Mexalon in high-sec is probably going to be your go-to right now. But I would say also keep in mind it's a very sharp increase in price. We could meander around this for a little bit, but at some point, of course, people are going to start flooding the market and then the sell opportunity will end. So you have to be pretty quick on the trigger or have Mexalon stocks ready to sell them off at the moment. But despite, obviously, because of the higher prices, we get 100 million, 27 million here, quite a few sell orders coming in, competing at different prices around the current price range. And the buyers, let's see what that is looking like. still decent amount, right? All of this is less than 24 hours ago, including 55 million units, but they are a little bit smaller in size than they were before, right? Because you can still see a few buy orders of 100 million units lower down. So this is interesting. I don't see a complete crash because because if there would be no buyers anymore at these prices, of course we could see the price crash substantially. But I'm actually seeing some potential in Mexelon managing to hold a decently high price, which 70 ISK is definitely a really good price for Mexelon for the miners. If you consider the ISK per hour that those guys are trying to make. It's really all about that for miners, honestly. Next up here we get Isogen managing to crawl out of the hole that was being dug below 90 ISK, which was pretty damn cheap for Isogen, and still heading up above 100 ISK. So quite a nice comeback for Isogen. 98 for the buyers, 101.5 for the sellers. When it comes to activity, obviously we'll have some sellers coming in here, 40 million, another 35 million here because of the increased prices. The buyers, they are stopping here. So this is a bit more dangerous. You still have 24 million units being bought, but only 5 buy orders, well, 78 million here, but there are not that many new buy orders in the last 24 hours. So Isogen, it's definitely going to stop at some point, and it could actually pull back a little bit more in my expectation than Mexelon. On the other hand, of course, Mexelon is quite extreme here in the increasing price. So a bit of a natural pullback is normal. The real question is, where do you expect Mexelon to stop? Is it going to retrace back towards 90 ISK or maybe stop around 100 ISK? Or is it going to be 95 right in the middle? Something like that is possible. And for Mexelon, that question is probably more important because going from 60 to 70 is a pretty serious increase to do in not a lot of time, and thus the pullback could be quite violent as well if people start to really focus their mining on Mexelon, dump some stocks to take advantage of this. We could get hit by a double whammy and actually go back down towards 60 ISK or even break that. So the volatility here is risky, but at the moment we're on the right side of it for miners because they can try to make some money off of this. Next up here we've got Noxium, also trying to crawl out of the hole, but only managing to go up to the 470, 480 price range. So this is definitely still very, very cheap Noxium, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So 473 pretty much for the sellers. We still have 11 million units coming in as the latest sell order, and for the buyers we are down to 447 ISK, which is definitely not a lot, and they're much more timid in their volumes. People are not interested in Noxium, and to be honest, we've been there for quite a while. If you take a look at the 1 year chart, it's basically been about a year since we've really started to go down. We've been basically hovering at these very low prices for quite a while. We come right out of a crash as well, which was bound to be a good opportunity to stock up on some cheap Noxium. But let's be honest, unless CCP changes something again that will impact the mineral market, it really doesn't look like Noxium is going to go back to their high days of 700, 800 ISK for Noxium. Those seem to be gone unless CCP intervenes here. Next up for Nalsic, we've got Zydrine, went up from 10,050 to 1250. So, all right, actually just holding the current price range, 1238, 1240, let's say, for the sellers, 1185 for the buyers. Pretty decent margin here as well, but that looks like it's going to stay here in the foreseeable future. The winner though has been Megasite, going up in price towards 1500 ISK, and I actually have some Megasite stocks, so that's pretty good. I'm planning to sell those, I think, convert that to something else. But yeah, we're finally back in the more normal picture. Zydrine being worth less than Megasite. It actually took a bit of a double jump here for Megasite. It's now at a 6-month high. That's not bad. If you go for the 1 year chart, of course, we still have a ways to go to the very speculative top that happened last year when the mineral changes were brought to EVE Online. But yeah, this is pretty damn good for Megasite. I think 1426 for the sellers, 1300 for the buyers. Pretty wide margin, but if you can still sell them, you have a lot of competition. People are obviously trying to sell some Megasite at these prices, at these 6-month high prices. But if you manage to buy at some of these low points close to 1,000 ISK, then of course this is a nice 30-40% profit waiting for you to take, which is exactly what I'm going to do with mine. Yeah, make a site at a pretty high price point. And then finally, of course, we have Morphyte. That is also, oh my god, this is beautiful, because being able to buy below 10,000 ISK, it doesn't happen that often, but just a few weeks later being able to sell for 1,800 ISK, almost double the price, 80% profit right there. And remember, just like a month ago, I did tell people that I thought being able to buy Morphyte below 10,000 ISK was a really good investment. Of course, it was timed right at the Citadel expansion, so that I didn't jump on that opportunity because I knew I needed ISK for blueprints to create the stuff that I needed to create. But if it was in any other situation, I would have jumped on that Morphyte opportunity. And so here we go, just a month in, 80% profit. That obviously would make up for twice or almost 3 times the losses that you may have had in Plexus. So there are great opportunities in the EVE economy. Don't let the Plex situation fool you. There are definitely winners happening every week, every month as well. Just so happens that after years and years of Plex only going up in price, it's now at the short end of the stick. So that's it for minerals. Yeah, the Megasite and Morphyte, really big winners. Mixlon also doing really well. Let's take a look at some Tech 1 ships next, 2110. And let's see if we can spot anything there. With the divided picture, honestly, for minerals, I mean, we've got some that are trying to crawl out of their all-time and 6-month lows, like Noxium, like Isogen, with a few really big winners here. It's impossible to say, well, prices of production have gone up or gone down. It's not that uniform. And so you can't really make a prediction here. The Armageddon, though, pretty low in price at the moment. So is the availability. Yeah, more Armageddons are being brought to the market. They're willing to sell below 200 million. The buyers are at 180 million, so pretty widespread because battleships are just not in the meta too much at the moment. Here we've got the Caracal managing to go back to 12 million ISK, so probably still a decently popular ship with the war, although not super active, it's still probably going on. And so you're selling Caracals at 12.6 million, the buyers are at 11 million, very nice spread here, decent supply and availability, but these are really good prices for the Caracals. So if you can produce them, then you're probably making some good money on the minerals that you're investing in Caracals. The Dominix, though, that's another battleship, so after trying to go up to 200 million, already going back down towards 190 million, 181 for the buyers, 200 million for the sellers. So I'm guessing with the chart right in the middle of them that people don't really know exactly where to go with Dominix. So some people are buying them straight off the market, 200 million. Other people are actually a little bit more patient and put in buy orders of around 180, and those actually sell as well. And as a result, yeah, we are in the middle between those two, and it just, I think, shows that they're not that popular at the moment. There's no clear this is not a good where obviously the sellers are dictating the price or the buyers are dictating the price. This is a little bit of meh. Some people buy them, some people sell them, some people are impatient, some people are patient. It's just a bit of a mixed bag in a ship that's just not that popular. You can also see that the volumes, 50-60 Dominixes a day, is definitely not that much. Here's the Drake, at a pretty low point, but managing to hold on to 54 million, so right on the averages right now. It looks quite alright. Availability is quite decent as well, with new Drakes coming in, despite, well, because of the higher prices, probably a little bit more supply coming in. But this looks like the Drake is going to be able to stay at its average price point here, decently stable. Here we get the Mauler, also going back down to 11.5 million, which is a normal price here. So a little bit of a spike, 12.3 for the sellers, 10.9 for the buyers, a bit of margin here as well. What are the volumes at though? Yeah, there we go again, 50 Maulers on average, very low volumes, and thus this is not a good that is really dictated by any of those two sides, and as a result it is ripe for some manipulation. If a big player comes in on the smaller market, they can create these price spikes, but if they dump too much, they can create these really low points as well. And as a result, you're generally staying on the average price, but sometimes you get some volatility as well. Here's the Myrmidon. That's a bit better. Increased volume, increased price. Myrmidon opportunity, if you can produce those. 70 million for the sellers, 62 million for the buyers. They actually had to follow up. 62 is right here for the buyers. So yeah, increased volume, increased interest in Myrmidons. Yeah, it's unusual to see this. I do think that considering how quiet it's been here so far, this Myrmidon opportunity will be filled very quickly. You can already see that like less than a day ago they started at 77 million ISK, and now they're already back down to 70 million ISK. So people will bring a lot of Myrmidons to the market as quickly as possible, because this is where you're making money at the moment. Here we've got the Oracle though. That one seems to be pretty quiet, volumes below 50. So yeah, not much to say. Actually these tier 3 battle cruisers have been very volatile like previously. Let's go for the 1 year chart here. I think it's with this, right? It's average of around 80 million. We're around that here now. But here you can see we've hovered around 90 million for a bit. Very violent spike here. More volatility right here. So it's a bit of a surprise to me to see these be so stable at the moment, around an average price of 80 million. These have settled down quite a little bit. Maybe they've just gone out of the meta with Fossisov or something like that. Next up here we've got the Raven. Trying to hold on to 185 million. So again, a battleship, bit better in volumes than the other ones. You also have, you don't have higher availability. There's just not that many of them. But it is of course even cheaper than any of the other battleships. 194 for the sellers. 200 million for the sellers, and then 178 for the buyers. Yeah, just basically a very similar situation, although it's being traded a bit more, the Raven here. Very difficult to say exactly what that's going to do, because it just doesn't have any volumes or any clear winners or clear demand in the market either. Here's a Stabber next, slowly going down over 6 months, but now trying to hold on to around 10.5 to 11 million as an average price. Few big volume spikes to be seen here, but apparently easily absorbed by the market. Availability is not that great. Average volumes have gone down below 50. So first signs of lower trade because of the increased taxes may be seen here in Tech 1 chips. That's something to keep in mind as well. But for the price range here, looks quite alright. Buyers at 10 million. 10 million for a Stabber is definitely a pretty good price. Next up here, we get a Tornado. Also, well, some volatility at the tail end, whereas the Oracle has actually been a bit more stable at the tail end, but average price 74 million, quite doable. Here increasing price on increased volume, same right here. So the average is actually around 100 a day. That's not bad. I'm guessing that gankers still need these, and availability 110 coming in right here. Looks quite good. So people are still trying to take advantage of this increase in price, but are now putting some pressure on that. Will go down a little bit because of this price spike here. Next up we've got Typhoon, again a battleship. Volumes here are dismal, below 20 on average. That's very low. Price is exactly the same, 170 million. So if you want some cheap battleships, yeah, Typhoon, you can probably pick one up for 160 million. That is definitely not a lot for such a big hull, but it's still, well, just not popular at the moment. So sellers, still 29 of them coming in at 174 million, but no one is buying these battleships. And then finally we've got the Vexor, managing to hold on at 12 million ISK, decently popular as well, 200 a day. Here the volumes have not changed too much. Sellers are at 12.4, buyers at 11.5. You can also see a bit of a smaller margin. So in this active market like the Vexor, there's a bit more competition. There's decent stability, and well, there's great availability here. So yeah, the Tech 1 market is going to be interesting to see if we get a few real losers, if they're not popular in the meta, not being used a lot, if trade actually goes down because of the taxes, and thus we get a weird situation where those are actually great opportunities because of the big margin, but just no one is going for it anymore. So that could be happening. We'll need to keep a close eye on that. Next up, Take 2, 29.15. Let's see if we can spot some opportunities, but just like lower trades in Take 1, I'm expecting that it could be even worse in the Take 2 market. Still here the basilisk, a little bit of an uptick from 190 to 200, so I wouldn't say that this is trade worthy, nothing really to be seen in volumes. So these are being sold for 208 million, bought for 195. I couldn't tell you if this is a buy or a trade opportunity. It's right in the middle of highs and lows. So no, the basilisk, I don't see anything interesting there. Here's the Cerberus next, very similar chart. You can see here that we're settling around 215, something like that on average. But the high point 270, a low point 180. Again, what do you have to do with Cerberus at the moment? I have no idea. It's not a gamble I would take either way. Here's the claw next, still a little bit of volatility to be shown. We went from 18 million to around 23 million, which is like maybe 5% or something like that. It's definitely not enough to say, okay, these are worthy trades. And again, settling between high points and low points. I don't like this. It's not where it's not really nothing that's worth the trade. And this is what I was actually starting to fear. I said last week, well, here we go. We were actually at this low point below 130 on the chart for the Guardian. That looks like a great opportunity. Unfortunately, it's being spotted right away. We're being brought up to 135 million, but it's not volatile enough, right? We're not seeing the volumes needed to create a big price spike, which you can see right here. And so is the trade in the Take 2 market going to be hampered because of the taxes, which are compounding, of course, because you need a Take 1 hull, all the minerals. So you need the minerals, increased taxes, you need hull, increased taxes, you need moon stuff, increased taxes, and then you actually have finally the Take 2 ship itself. It has a lot more taxes behind it, and thus it could be that people are just not willing to actively trade in that anymore. Next up here we've got the Hound, very similar, timid tick up, and look where we are on the chart here. These are the spikes, these are the lows. Nope, nothing interesting there. The Ishtar, obviously, that's still nice. Good to see something still being alive. But again, Ishtar, pretty damn popular ship, also in PvE. So this could be a completely new era for trading, I think, where it's actually the popularity of a ship that is going to dictate volatility because of interests, because people are actually willing to spend and risk some ISK, but only in popular meta ships here. Yeah, it's a theory that I'll need to keep in mind and to try to test as we keep doing Eve Talk here. But yeah, Ishtars, if you can sell them here for close to 200 million, that's more than a battleship. Obviously, that's not a bad price, especially if you bought them at 165. This is a decently good trade in about a month, so that's looking pretty good. At least one ship still looks like it could be alright here. Next up, the Manticore going down to 22 million. Actually could be good. Data point here pretty damn low. The buyers are at 20.6, sellers 25 though. Still a little bit high, but if it goes slightly lower, this could get interesting if you look at this chart. Here's the Nemesis next. Unfortunately, right, was pretty interesting a couple of weeks ago when it went down to 18 million, but now just look at the slow increase in price here. It's not what you want to see if you want to make some short-term trades here. This is just too timid, settling now towards 22 million, which again, bottom of 18, top of 28. This is not where you want to be to either sell or buy. The Oneros here again, going down to 140 million, now slightly up to 145. Could still be interesting, honestly. You're still buying them for 135 million, which is okay. But how long until we see some volatility? Why are we seeing these jagged edges here as people are apparently taking positions even at these very low prices? They're just not just buying and keeping them, waiting for the big price spike. There's actually some activity happening here. That's again not too good to see. Very timid increase in price on these higher volumes here, but the volume is just not enough to create a big price spike. So I think it's risky to actually start to jump in on the Take 2 market here again. Again here the Purifier settling at 22. If you look at the chart, that's not where you want to be. Raptor is going to be pretty similar. similar. Well, Raptor is decently low, staying below 25 million ISK, but of course I would prefer to see the chart at 20 million to say, okay, maybe the Raptor could be a buy. Next up here we get the Scimitar, again 140, looked alright, but very slow increase to 150. This is not a spike here of 20 or at least 15 million where you can get some 10%, and you need a bit more even with the taxes as well. So it is risky. We have to keep a close eye on the Tech 2 market, because this entire dynamic could have switched from just Tech 2 being really good for trades to maybe it's the popular meta, maybe it's Tech 3, maybe it's Tech 1. What is it going to be? Where is the active trade going to move to? It's difficult to say, yeah, I'll obviously try to keep you guys up to date. Next up, Tech 3, 30, let's say 35 minutes to take a round number here. We will of course start with the destroyers, but that doesn't look like it's good news. Slight uptick on increased volumes. Obviously, when we broke 46 million, people said that's bound to be a good opportunity, but despite that, buyers are at 44 million, sellers are still coming in below 46 million. So the pressure is on. You can see the volumes 220 here, 98, 28, 19. It's just too much for the market to absorb here. Could also be a bit of a taxes story as well, because Tech 3 has several more stages, several more stuff behind it. But yeah, definitely oversupplied like crazy. Here's the Hecate, again trying to bounce off of 45 million, but very timid, already going back down. And you can see the pressure. Oh my god, this is just not healthy. Look at these sell orders here. 30, 78, 66, 63, 61, 57, 32, 19. They're just adding more of these Hecates, despite the fact that they're just not selling. This is probably around 300 to 400 of them, and they're selling 100. So this is 4-day supply coming in here just on the latest orders. This is just pretty much crazy, but we are of course pretty damn low at the moment as well. Is this a long-term opportunity? Possibly. If you look here at the Jackdaw going down to 42 million. And despite that, despite 42 million, someone is still bringing 18 of them on the market, trying to sell them for 45.6. But the buyers are saying, you know what I want? I want to buy my Jackdaws below 40 million ISK. And so here we go, buy orders below 40 million for these tactical destroyers. That is definitely pretty damn crazy. We're going back towards the very low point after the initial launch, where they were just really popular. People were making them like crazy because they were so new, and so they crashed the price down to 35 million. Look at that, we're actually heading back there. So this is yeah, definitely a fire sale, oversupplied like crazy, and even for the lowest, I think it's going to be the lowest destroyer here, they're still bringing them to the market. Finally, we've got this Vepel here. Went down below 46 million, a little bit of a tick up here, but you can see that we're already on our way back down, because any tick up means, look at that, all of this, one and a half pages of news vehicles coming in, including 24, 33, 80, 16, 67, 78, 31, 20, 14, 33 right here. Yeah, it's just too much. The market can't absorb all of that, and thus the pressure is back on. No chance to break out back to 50, 60 million ISK. That's not gonna happen short term. Next up, of course, we've got the cruisers as well. Pressure very similar here. What is supply looking like? Still half a front page of new ones, about 20, 30, probably close to 40 of them even, which is just a daily average coming in the last 24 hours here. So a little bit up, of course, going as low as 130 was pretty damn low. People probably that fly legions who are willing to buy a few in reserve at those price points, but it's very hard for these to break out. Here's the Loki charts, again 135 million, and still the pressure is on. So here you can see no one is buying them, and despite that, there's quite a lot of them. No one they're not coming in with new Lokis either. There's bound to be another Tech 3 cruiser that you can make and try to sell for a slightly better price. But yeah, the demand just isn't there either. Less than 50 a day being sold here. Next up, we've got the Proteus hovering at 140 million. Obviously, are you making Lokis or Proteus? You're obviously going for some Protea at the moment. But here also volumes going down. Supply here also, yeah, a few still being brought in, but nothing in the last 24 hours. But it's just the buyers are at 132. They're not budging. And yeah, it's just a difficult time right now for the Tech 3 market. Finally, we've got the Tengu breaking 150, just going down here. So this was, of course, where people were still bringing some cruisers. Exactly 599 right here at 145 million, but the buyers are at 134. They want cheap Tech 3 ships, and that's exactly what we're getting at the moment. Oversupplied in general, it's pretty damn dangerous. Some of these basically cruiser markets are completely shutting down, like the Loki here. So obviously if you can pick one up at 130 million, that is bound to be decently good. But how long is it going to last? That's the big question. I'm guessing that Tech 3 is out of the meta as well at the moment. So maybe a long-term opportunity. Of course, if you look at this chart, that's definitely not that bad. But how long will you have to wait until you can sell that? That's impossible to say. If my previous experience is any indication, the Tech 3 market was in the dumpster for more than a year on end in a situation like this. So be careful. You may want to diversify a little bit, and these are probably good purchases, but again, be very careful. And then finally, for the extra materials, 4015, I want to take another look at the Sisters of Eve ships, because just a few months ago you may remember that these were at 6-month lows, and I said this is a great opportunity, especially for new players if you want to go for a powerful ship, even in PvP with not too many skills. It's a Tech 1, but it's considered faction. The Sisters of Eve ships are great. So let's try to find these. We of course first have the pirate faction frigate here, the Astero, going up in price a little bit. So obviously the bottom of these was at like 54 million, which is definitely not a lot. Buyers though are at 58, sellers are at 64 million. So you can see that buying at this point would have been a pretty good idea. We're on our way up. When is the real sell opportunity? That's difficult to say, but I do think that with the influx of new players from the Citadel expansion, for instance, these ships will be decently popular for a while. And yeah, that was a great opportunity here a few months ago, like at the start of April, to buy a couple of these really cheap ships. They are very fun to fly, covered up, capable, but Tech 1, so you don't need that many skills. Drone ships, incredible exploration ships. Yeah, the Astero still very affordable, but here we can see that some ISK is flowing into this market. Next up we've got the cruiser then, so faction pirates, which is the Stradios, of course. Still pretty damn low, 210 million for a Stradios here, still holding on at that low price, so not going up just yet. Again, if you believe in the theory that new players in the Citadel expansion are now jumping into the Astero because of what it can do for the price, then maybe you can expect in a few months, or weeks or months, when they can fly cruisers, that they'll go for Stradioses. And so this could be a good purchase, but these are still very, very cheap here at the moment, looking pretty good. Still, if you want to fly a Stradioses, 200 million for what this ship can do is definitely not bad. And then finally we've got the battleship here, which, well, it's still used a decent amount in PvP, but it's not like it's only the battleship. So faction, pirates, the Nestor here, it's a great platform, a big increase in volumes right here all of a sudden. So at a 6-month low point, heading towards 650 million, it's not like you only have a Nestor fleet, right? It's Macarios with a few Nestors in between, but again, really affordable price. And if the Astero is any indication, this could actually be a good investment. And that's maybe one final note that I want to end on here. This is the last FanFest where Syspeak once said that there is 3 times more stuff than there is ISK. Gave me a completely different perspective on the EVE market here at the moment, because what is really important, and something that I've never really thought about before, that is the actual flow of ISK, right? What becomes popular, ISK tends to flow there, but that always creates opportunities in other places. And at the moment, ISK is obviously flowing out of the plex market, value is flowing out of the plex market, but that is going towards other things, and it's up to us to actually see that movement. And if you want to successfully trade, obviously the rule is buy low, sell high. And here, for instance, you're a bit late on the Astero, but you can start to see that ISK is flowing into the Astero market, and if that's any indication, then ISK could start flowing into the Stratios market as well. The Nestor is something completely different, but that creates a bit of an opportunity right there. And thinking about the flow of ISK in this game is very, very important actually if you want to trade, because yeah, I didn't see the Plex crash coming. Just because of how long it's been going up, but someone else did, and now knowing that there is so much less ISK than stuff value, the valuation of stuff in general means that yeah, nothing is going to the moon, right? Nothing is eternally going up. The popularity, the flow of ISK in the game is actually a major force that creates opportunity, and that's where something that you need to pay attention to if you want to make some money trading, whether it's short term or long term. So yeah, there you go. Pretty interesting watching the Astero go up here. Could be a precursor to some great opportunities in some faction frigates. So there you go, guys. That's it for this ETH talk. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.